Most people speak about discipline like it's a cold, rigid thing, a drill sergeant, a cage, a set of rules someone else made that you're supposed to follow. But the truth is, discipline is one of the most human things in the world. It's not about pressure or perfection. It's about learning how to work with your mind instead of against it. And your mind? It's not your enemy. It's just scared. It's trying to protect you. For most of us, discipline failed, not because we're lazy, but because somewhere along the line, we learned that effort equals pain, that consistency means pressure, that self-improvement is a battlefield. So every time we try to change, our brain braces for impact. But what if it didn't have to? What if discipline could feel natural, gentle, even rewarding? Let me start with a story. There was a guy. Let's call him Daniel. Daniel wanted to fix his life. He had this long list of goals. Wake up earlier, go to the gym, eat clean, study more, stop scrolling at night. And he tried. Honestly tried. Day 1, perfect. Day 2, motivated. Day 3, started slipping. Day 4, gone. He thought he was broken. One night he said to me, "I don't get it. Why does my brain fight me every time I try to do the right thing?" And I told him something that completely changed the way he approached his life. I said, "Your brain doesn't hate discipline. It hates feeling overwhelmed or being forced." When Daniel heard that, he went quiet, because it finally made sense. Your brain's job is survival, not improvement. It doesn't care if you become successful or fit or productive. It cares that you stay alive and avoid discomfort. So when you suddenly try to overhaul your entire existence overnight, your brain panics. It's like throwing someone who can't swim into deep water and yelling, "Relax! No wonder you sink." So here's the first way to trick your brain into liking discipline. 1. Make discipline feel safe. Not big, not scary, just safe. Think about little kids. If you try to shove a child into doing something, they resist. If you invite them gently, make it seem fun, seem easy, they lean in. Your brain works the same way. Start with something small, not Instagram small. I mean insultingly small. Something your brain can do without negotiation. 2 minutes of reading, 1 push-up, a 5-minute walk, cleaning 1 tiny corner of a room. There's a quote I love that says, "If you can't do it for an hour, do it for a minute. The minute still counts." And it does. Your brain loves manageable. Manageable feels safe. Safe feels good. Daniel took this to heart. He started with 10 minutes at the gym. Not 2 hours like before. Just 10 minutes. Most days he stayed longer because once he started, it wasn't so bad. But that wasn't the point. The point was to show his brain that discipline wasn't pain. Over time, his brain stopped flinching when he said, "We're going to the gym." It adapted. It even started craving it, because discipline becomes enjoyable the moment it stops feeling like punishment. 2. Tie discipline to identity, not outcomes. There's a moment in everyone's life where they try to change by force. I need to lose weight. I have to study more. I need to stop procrastinating. But here's the problem. Your brain doesn't respond to commands, it responds to identity. There was a woman I knew who wanted to start writing. She said she wanted to become a writer, but she kept stalling. Every day felt heavy. Every attempt felt like a battle. Then one morning she changed one tiny thing. She didn't say, "I'm going to try to write today." She said, "I am someone who writes." And she wrote 3 sentences. 3. It took maybe 2 minutes, but something inside her shifted. That day she told me it was the first time writing didn't feel like homework. It felt like something I do. Identity is powerful because your brain naturally tries to be consistent with who you believe you are. If you see yourself as someone who fails, you'll sabotage yourself. If you see yourself as someone who tries, your brain will cooperate. And if you see yourself as someone who is becoming, slowly, gradually, your habits will begin to align with that story. There's a line I always come back to. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. But your systems will always fall to the level of your identity. So the trick, Let identity lead. Let discipline follow. 3. Make the process enjoyable, even in tiny ways. People forget how much pleasure matters. Your brain is wired to repeat what feels good. So if discipline is dry and miserable, of course you won't stick to it. Find ways to make the process feel rewarding. Light a candle before you study. Play music while you clean. Walk in a place you actually enjoy. Read on a couch you love. Dress nicely for the gym so you feel confident walking in. These tiny touches matter. There was a guy who hated running, but wanted to get fit. He tried everything. New shoes, strict schedules, tracking apps. Nothing stuck. Then one day he decided to only run at sunset. He said, "If I'm going to suffer, I at least want a beautiful view." 6 months later, he's still running. Not because he suddenly became more disciplined, but because he found a version of the habit that he could genuinely like. When you connect discipline to pleasure, even a small, simple pleasure, your brain begins to associate effort with reward instead of dread. You're not tricking yourself in a manipulative way. You're building a new kind of relationship with effort. 4. Remove the shame completely. Shame is one of the biggest habit killers. This idea that if you miss a day, you failed, or if you fall off, you're inconsistent. That mindset destroys progress. There's a quote that says, "Missing one day won't break you. Quitting because you missed one day will." Your brain responds better to kindness than criticism. Compassion isn't weakness, it's strategy. I once met someone who lost 80 pounds, and I asked him what made the difference this time. He said, "Honestly, I stopped bullying myself. The moment I forgave myself for slipping, I got back on track faster." That stuck with me. If you want discipline to last, you have to make room for being human. You will mess up. You will have off days. You will fall back into old patterns, and that's okay. Consistency isn't perfection, it's return. The ability to return is the real discipline. 5. Rebuild the story of effort. Most of us grew up thinking effort equals suffering. We saw adults come home exhausted, complaining about work, about responsibilities, about deadlines. We learned that grown-up effort means misery. So our brain hears discipline and thinks, "Oh no, here comes the suffering." To trick your brain into liking discipline, you have to rebuild the story of effort. Think about something you once found hard, but now enjoy. Riding a bike, cooking, playing a sport, driving, learning a skill. At first it was unfamiliar, uncomfortable, awkward, but eventually the discomfort faded, replaced by ease, or even joy. Your brain needs reminders that effort often leads to things you eventually love. There's a beautiful line I once heard. Everything you enjoy now was once something you didn't know how to do. Once you let that sink in, effort stops feeling like suffering. It feels like becoming. 6. Stack meaningful reasons behind your habits. Your brain loves purpose. It wants to know why the effort matters. If you don't give your brain meaning, it won't give you motivation. There was a father who wanted to get fit but couldn't stay consistent. Every January he'd start and by February he'd quit. Then one day his daughter asked him to play tag in the yard, and he realized he couldn't last more than a minute. He started training the next morning, not to get abs, not to look better, but because he wanted to be the kind of father who could keep up with his kid. And he never missed a day again. Meaning makes discipline easier. Ask yourself, why do I want this habit? What will it give me? Who will it help me become? What pain will it remove? What joy will it create? Give your brain something to latch onto, and it will carry you farther than motivation ever could. 7. Make the starting point the goal, not the finishing point. This is where the brain hack becomes extremely powerful. Most people focus on finishing. Finish the workout, finish the chapter, finish the cleaning, finish the task. But your brain doesn't need you to finish. It just needs you to begin. Momentum takes over from there. There's a quote I always think about. The hardest part is showing up, and the rest is just gravity. If you make start the only requirement, discipline becomes easy. Not glamorous, but easy. You don't need to read for an hour. You just need to open the book. You don't need to run a mile. You just need to put on your shoes. You don't need to clean the whole kitchen. You just need to wash one dish. The brain resists big actions but accepts small beginnings. Once you start, the resistance melts almost instantly. 8. Create visible proof of progress. Your brain loves evidence. It loves seeing that your effort matters. Use a journal, a checklist, a habit tracker, a calendar with X's on it, notes on your phone, anything that shows I showed up. Visible proof creates momentum. There was a student who struggled with studying. Every semester he'd fall behind. So one semester he did something unusual. He bought a giant whiteboard and wrote every chapter he needed to study, every assignment, every quiz. And every time he completed something, he crossed it out with a thick red marker. He told me, I didn't realize how addictive progress looks. By the end of the semester, the board was covered in red lines. And for the first time in years, he passed everything. Your brain loves completion. It loves seeing progress. Let it. 9. Surround the habit with emotional cues. Habits stick not because they're repeated, but because they're anchored. Your brain works like Velcro. Things stick when they're connected. If you pair your habits with emotions, places, sounds, or rituals, your brain builds stronger pathways. Light the same candle before you journal. Drink the same tea before you study. Play the same playlist before you clean. Stretch in the same spot every morning. These anchors teach your brain, oh, this is the moment we do this. It becomes automatic. Just like hearing a certain song can bring back an entire memory, small emotional cues can make habits feel familiar and comforting. And comfort is discipline's best friend. 10. Let discipline become a love language to your future self. This is one of the most powerful mindsets you can adopt. Discipline isn't about punishing who you are. It's about taking care of who you're becoming. One day, months from now, you're going to meet a version of yourself who is healthier, calmer, more confident, more grounded. And that version of you will look back and whisper, thank you for the days you tried, even the small days, especially the small days. There's a quote that says, self-discipline is self-respect in action. Every time you show up for a habit, no matter how small, you're telling your future self, I've got you. I'm building something for you. And your brain loves that feeling. It loves contributing to something meaningful. It loves feeling useful. It loves being part of your evolution. If you remember nothing else from this entire script, remember this. Discipline is not a war. It's a relationship. And like any relationship, it grows through trust, not force. Small promises kept, gentle consistency, kindness when you slip, curiosity instead of judgment, identity instead of pressure, meaning instead of guilt. Your brain was never the enemy. It was just waiting for you to approach discipline in a way that felt human, real, doable, compassionate. Start small, start soft, start now. Your brain is listening, and if you treat it right, it will carry you farther than you ever imagined. If you found value in this video, can I invite you to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't. This encourages me to keep creating value for you and others so you can get better every day. Until next time, thanks for watching.